Jr. taking on Daniel Jacobs in the co-main. It is a fight you do not want to miss. We've got both fighters here. We've got their trainers here. We've got the father here. You're going to hear from all of these guys. I'm going to ask them some questions. We're also going to let you members of the media ask these guys some questions as well. I know what you're thinking. Give me the particulars about this. Listen, this pay-per-view card can be purchased by Famio.com/PPV. Again, Famio.com/PPV. The retail price, $49.99 for the pay-per-view. You can order it through Famio. You'll also get a fighting t-shirt as well with your purchase, so you don't want to get through that. You can also purchase this through UFC Fight Pass PPV as well. So those are the two ways that you can get this. Again, tickets for this event, especially you're coming out to California to the Honda Center. Tickets for this event starting only, and I'm talking about the starting tickets, $25. And you can get those tickets through Ticketmaster. Again, through Ticketmaster, and tickets starting just $25. Again, July 6th, Saturday, Honda Center in Anaheim. You've got the Miracle Man, Daniel Jacobs. You've got Shane Mosley Jr. It will be a 10-round super middleweight bout. Let me bring in here a man who, I don't know if he needs introduction. Guy's a Hall of Famer. Guy's a legend. When you talk about this sport, obviously he helps his son out when it comes to training and fighting. He is none other than Sugar Shane Mosley himself. Hall of Famer, if you would, give us some thoughts here on your son taking on Daniel Jacobs, your thought on the fight and how things have been going in that camp.
Well, thank you for such a great introduction. It was great. But my son has been doing a great job in the gym. He works hard every single day, and puts in the work. I think that also I want to touch on his coach. Coach Chris is definitely a great coach, a great fit for him, and they've been doing a great job of breaking down different things of different fighters. And I watched him closely, and I really approve of everything that he's talking about. I'm telling my son in the ring when we get in the ring and we do different things, different steps. I don't want to say too much, but I just believe my son is in great shape, great mental health, and he's ready to take on any challenges out there because, like everybody wants to be a world champion, like Danny Jacobs, myself, and everything. So he's looking forward to this fight and this match and taking it very, very seriously. So I'm very happy with what I see in there, and I'm looking forward to the fight.
And I know members of the media who are watching this right now, they'd like to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on your son taking on Daniel Jacobs?
Oh, that's my thoughts. My thoughts is he's looking very well. He's looking great. And I think that he should win, from what I see. And, Dan Jacobs been out a long time. And it's going to be hard for him to shake off that rust in 5 years. And I think from a younger fighter like my son, that's been, working very hard. I've been in the ring working with him too as well, and see a lot of growth in my son, and not just physically and with the speed, but mentally. I see a lot of growth with him, and I think that if you look at the fight with Gabe Rosado, you can see that he's made a big leap.
Love it. Of course, Sugar Shane Mosley, again, Hall of Famer. He's been a Hall of Famer since that class of 2020. One of the greats in the sport. Let me bring in Junior now. Shane Mosley Jr., 21-4. This is a young man, 12 knockouts. He's coming into this fight, folks, on just a 7-month layoff, on a 4-bout winning streak. He's had a couple of stoppages here lately. Ballard Conley just last year. So as you heard Senior talk about, he's certainly been on a roll. Been training out in Vegas. Listen, the kid can fight, and he's got a good one. Taking on Daniel Jacobs. Here he is, Shane Mosley Jr. Shane, if you would, talk to members of the media. Give us your thoughts on taking on Daniel Jacobs and give us some insight on how training has been going for you.
Hi, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me on this event, on this little panel, and I appreciate everything that I've been getting and hearing. Training has been going great. I am blessed to have this opportunity. You know, these are the type of fights that you dream about as a young fighter. You know what I mean? When I got into there, like you dream about getting to these moments where you have a big test in front of you, and you know, you adversity shows the man to himself, right? So you need these moments to define you. You know what I mean? And whatever that may be, you know what I mean? This is why we fight, right? To see who we are, and to do it on a big stage like this. So with that being said,
yeah, I think Junior dropped out.
Press something wrong.
Yeah. I think he was pressing something wrong and he jumped out of there. We'll let him get jump back in once he gets reconnected with us. We'll move on here because we'll talk about the other side here. And in the Jacobs camp, you heard about Mosley talking about how good his trainer is, especially Senior talking about what he's done with him. Jacobs has got, you know, when you talk about corners, probably one of the best elite guys in the sport, and probably one of the best ambassadors for the sport of boxing. He's not only an elite trainer, but he is without question a true ambassador for the sport of boxing. One of the best guys you'll ever meet in your life, and the man can teach boxing as well. Out of Brooklyn, Mr. Andre Rosier. Dre, it's good to see you. It's great to have you on this fight. You got to give us your thoughts here. You've been with Daniel from the very beginning. Give us your thoughts on him coming back after a layoff of over 2 years and taking on Shane Mosley Jr.
Well, thank you for the fantastic introduction, Brian. You know I love you from the bottom. You are truly family. You're a brother to me, and you always will be. If any trouble goes down, just call me. I'm coming. I'm coming. But just to talk about where we're at right now, Danny and I have decided that he, not only for his accomplishments and accolades that he has already achieved, but he wants to be a Hall of Famer. And to do that, he has to bring back the Danny that became a two-time middleweight champion of the world. And he has to show why it's not over yet. And we've been training and preparing, getting back on track. And honestly, he's been a very special student. He's been accommodating. He's been cordial, and he's getting ready to represent. And what we do, we don't look at opponents as, oh, this opponent, that opponent. We just get ready for anything that Danny has to face and bring the best Daniel Jacobs to the table. And that's what we're doing right now.
Love that. I see we've got Shane Mosley Jr. back. Junior, I want to make sure, I know you're in the middle of saying something. I want to give you the floor here before we get to Daniel.
My bad. I don't know what happened with the feed, but I just wanted to say I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you, Danny, for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. This is why I box, right? I do it for the love, for the legacy. I didn't get in here because of my dad. I didn't do this because I felt like any pressure. I wanted to do this because I love the sport. I love what I do, and I want to be a part of that. Just like he said, just like Danny said, and just like why can't the trainer Andre said, right? You do this because you want to be a legend. You want to be in the history books, right? And the only way you can do that is to fight adversity, to go against people that nobody thinks that you could beat. Nobody thinks you're supposed to be in the ring with, right? And you do that, and you give your best, and you give your all, and you see where that lands. We've all been in situations. Everybody on the panel, right? That you get into situations that you prepared your ass off for, and you may come up short, or you prepare your ass off and you come up victorious. We don't know. All we can do is give our very, very best, and hopefully God is on our side. That's it. And so that's what I've prepared to do. That's what I want to do, and that's what I love to do. Everybody here and everybody on the card loves this sport, and they want to give their best account, and that's what we come to do, and that's what we're going to do. I believe that.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Shane. All right. Let's talk about the man he's facing now. We're going to hear from him. This is a man who, quite frankly, has faced some of the best. Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Derevyanchenko, Peter Quillen, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. You can go on and on and on. The man has faced him. He is the former two-time middleweight champion of the world, 37-4. He's got 30 knockouts. Represents Brownsville, Brooklyn. And you know him, he'll say, never ran, never will. I know him very well, so I know that's what he's going to say. It's been a while because he hadn't fought in over 2 years, but he's back. He is Daniel Jacobs. Daniel, the floor is yours. I know members of the media want to know why the return, your thoughts on facing Shane Mosley Jr.
Thank you for the intro. The thoughts of me returning was always lingering in my mind within those 2 years of me being off. I wanted to secure a spot on the Hall of Fame, and I reevaluated my career and thought there's more that I could do. There's more of an imprint that I could leave in the sport. I know I've done so much for the sport from what I've already accomplished. I'm an inspiration to the sport and millions of people throughout the world from my life story, all the things that I've been in outside and inside the ring. And so I want to give a little more pizzazz, and I feel like I have enough to be able to give left in the sport. And I'm coming back against a young, hungry lion, Shane Jr. And one thing about me, I never really, it's always been known, I never ducked anyone. I take on some of the toughest challenges that the world has to present. And with the layoff, you would think I would take, a Joe Schmo or somebody who doesn't really possess anything which is geared up for me to win. And with a guy like myself, I always wanted to go for the best. And so at this stage of my career, I think this is the best opponent that I can face. I look forward to be able to give my all, a great contest of myself. My trainers, Andre Rozier, Anthony Irons, my manager, Keith Connolly, everybody has been backing me and giving me the full support that I need throughout this camp to make it all that it needs to be for me to become victorious come July 6th. But I'm looking forward to the fight. I'm looking forward to being on the West Coast again. And I'm looking forward to showing the fans, because so many fans have been reaching out for the last 2 years, wondering when I'm going to come back or if I'm retired or, what's going to be the next deal with me. And so the time has finally come. I'm looking forward to it, and I look forward to giving the fans a great show.
Love it. Love it, Daniel. Thank you. Listen, members of the media, I know you're going to have questions for both of these guys. All we ask is that you hit the raise your hand icon there on the Zoom, and then we will acknowledge you and you'll be able to ask your question to these guys. I got a few of them for you guys before we get to members of the media. Daniel, I'll start with you. I mean, it has been over 2 years, almost 2.5. Why so long? Why so long out of the ring?
Well, it's simply life. Sometimes get to life in. And, you know, boxing is a big part of my life, but it's also not everything. And so for me, I had to take time aside to focus on some of the things that was important to me as well. I have a 15-year-old son now who I had to really dedicate my time to. You know, I was also at a point too where I had actually accomplished everything I sought out to accomplish. And so there came times in my mind if I just really wanted to settle and retire. But then, you know, that fighter spirit came back and it came kicking in, and I felt like, you know, there might be some more that I could do because when it's all said and done, I do want to have my name amongst the great of my generation.
You know, there's an old saying when a fighter, not only a fighter, but a professional athlete starts thinking about or contemplating retirement, and he's got one foot maybe in and one foot out, he's all the way out. Where's Daniel Jacobs?
I'm 100% in. Once I set a goal, once I set my mind to something, I'm all the way tapped in. I've been training for the last, I would say, 8 months now. And so, you know, gearing myself up mentally, and now with the last 3-4 months, physically prepping myself, I think everything is designed for me to be great come July 6th. One thing about me, too, is that you can't kill experience. You know, experience is something that I get a lot of fighters victorious, being able to get a fighter throughout certain fights and being able to add that extra oomph that some of these newbies or, you know, young vets have yet to experience. You know, I'm a guy who can take a great punch. I'm a guy who can weather the storm. I'm a guy who can, you know, come over on top when people doubt me. So I don't want the fans to look at me as someone who is 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And that's why I've been training so hard for these last few months, because I want to be able to perform at the level that I'm used to performing. At 37 years of age now, you know, I've also had to learn how my body is just a tad bit different in training. So certain things are added in, certain things are taken away, which to me is, you know, it really reminds me how long I've been in the sport. I've been boxing more than half my life. And it's such a blessing to be able to come back now with the experience that I have, with the mindset and the peace of mind that I have, knowing that I'm not fighting, you know, for, you know, livelihood. I'm fighting for greatness. I'm fighting to be able to leave a legacy. And that is much stronger to me than anything.
Shane, you know, when I was reading up on this bout, many have written for Shane Mosley Jr., this is a significant step up in competition. Do you see it as the same?
Absolutely. I mean, who on my record is Danny Jacobs? You know what I mean? Like, you got to call a spade a spade. I mean, there ain't nobody near that 2-time middleweight champion. I mean, fought everybody that there is. Absolutely. And when I have that opportunity and somebody says, you have an opportunity to fight a great, why not? Are you kidding? Like you said, you never run from an opportunity like that. That's what shows that shows everybody that you want greatness. What if I really want to be a legend, a great, somebody that even considered of anything of stature, I have to take opportunities like this. Absolutely. So no, there's nobody on my resume, and that's why you embrace these situations for that reason. Because you don't get an opportunity like this ever. This is, you know, yeah, you don't get stuff like this.
The boxing scene did a story on you, Shane, and they quoted you as saying, "My victory on July 6th changes the trajectory of my career." Tell us why.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a win over a legend like that. I know that he wants to say that his legacy is not secure, and I understand that from his standpoint as a fighter that's coming back in there. You got to say there's more in there. There's more in there, but from my perspective, he's already stamped that. You know what I mean? But that's an outsider, right? As a fighter, I understand it. I get it. You have to say there's more in there. So no, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. So I'm gonna go out there and get more. I'm gonna test myself more. I understand that 100%. But in my perspective, he's already a legend. And if I come out victorious, I give my best. I come out victorious. I get better. I gain that experience. I gain that knowledge. 100%. How do you not become better? How do you not become more after that? Absolutely, 100%.
Daniel, gotta ask you this question: how much does Daniel Jacobs still have left in the tank? And in your opinion, is Daniel Jacobs still at the elite level in the super middleweight division?
Well, I got a lot left in the tank. You know, sometimes a break is good. You know, boxing is 80% mental. You know, and if your mental is not right going into certain fights, sometimes it shows. I've been one to, when my mind, body, soul, and essence is all the way 100% in a fight, you know, not sometimes, but for the most part, I show up. And so taking this layoff that I did, I was able to get all my faculties in check. I was able to make sure my mind was right, my spirit was right, and to make sure that I can go in there without the pressures of a loss, without the pressures of feeling like, you know, I'm disappointing if I don't perform well. You know, now it's just really about cementing something another goal that I set for myself. And so I guess July 6th, the fans will be able to fully tell, you know, do I have it or not, how much I have left. And, you know, their opinion is on it. I should continue. But I know for a fact in my heart, especially from what I've seen in the gym, especially from, you know, still having certain movements and characteristics that I used to embody, you know, as a youngin in the sport of boxing, you know, that still resides within me. I'm a young 37 years old. And, you know, sometimes with a little bit of pizzazz of the wisdom, you know, it's just a good recipe for success.
Dre, same question. You've seen him every day. You've been working with him. Daniel Jacobs still got a lot left in the tank. Is he still elite?
The tank is definitely full. What I'm doing now is I'm putting more high octane in it so that, you know, we burn it at 104 because 93 is not enough. But seriously speaking, he had a bit of a layoff. We're recalibrating, getting him back on track. And July 6th, he's going to be more than ready. And then it's just keeping him in the loop, in the sync of things, and keeping him growing. And of course, once again, now it's all about us being in Canastota for that Hall of Fame international induction, and that's what we're working for. He's done a lot. We've done a bunch of other things. Now it's time to get those pictures up on the wall, and when it says Daniel Jacobs Hall of Famer, our job is done.
Got it. Shane, another story on this fight. Bad left hook. Had a quote from you saying on July 6th, I want to face someone who's motivated to win, not just make some money. Explain that to us. Explain it to Daniel. It seems as if, and there have been a number of stories written that, is this really Daniel Jacobs a return, or is this a cash grab for Daniel Jacobs? Give us your thoughts on that quote you made.
I think that might have been a little bit taken out of context, but I said if basically if this is just to fight just to make money, I don't, because I think how the question was asked was basically like, do you think that he's fighting to just make money and make a quick buck off of you because he thinks that you're just, you know, a scrub? Mm-hmm. Or do you think that he's fighting you because he wants to get back and you know, the legacy, you know, and really want to get back into the sport? And I said, I hope that he's doing this to continue on in the sport, that he feels like he has more left to give, that he wants to, you know, to really do this. I think if that's the case, I don't feel like, you know, if he's just over here just trying to grab money, I think that's stupid. You know, why would you want to do this? There's more way other things that you could do to make money, and you know what I mean, you don't got to fight a guy like me in order to make money. So I think how that question was asked to me, how I remember it was like, do you think he's just trying to fight you just to make money, or do you think that he's fighting you to really make a run at it again? And I truly think that, and I hope that he's fighting me for the reasons of truly trying to cement his legacy, like he said.
It's an interesting position for you because you can fight at 168 and 160, and so if you're victorious July 6th, do you stay at 168 or do you go back down to 160 at the middleweight division? Whereas it seems to just be wide open for someone to take over that division and rule.
You know what? My goal has always been to be middleweight champion. I want to be undisputed middleweight champion. That is my goal. That is my goal in life. But the opportunity came about to fight Daniel Jacobs, and you don't turn it down. You don't turn it down. I got the call to fight either Carlos Adames or Danny Jacobs. Guess who I said? Danny Jacobs. Because guess what? If I go to a crowd of people and say, hey, I'm fighting Carlos Adames, they go, who's that? If I go, hey, I'm about to fight Danny Jacobs, they go, oh, for real? You about to fight Danny Jacobs? Right? So who do I want to fight? Yeah, one is a middleweight champion of the world, but one is a legend. Like I said, he may not think so, but if I go to a crowd of people, they're going to say, oh, you fighting Danny Jacobs? Oh, you fighting Carlos Adames? Who's that? Oh, he's a middleweight champion. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Right? So that's why I chose this fight. Do I want to be middleweight champion? Absolutely. And no matter what happens, am I going to go and go get that middleweight crown and go become undisputed middleweight champion? 100%. No matter what happens, I'm going to get undisputed middleweight champion. Right? Because that's my goal. And that's what I set out to do. No matter what happens, I'm going to get undisputed middleweight champion. So Carlos Adames, so Erislandy Lara, and what's his name? The other one. I'm coming to get y'all. I'm coming to get y'all. Let's go.
I love it. Daniel, get your reaction on that, because there have been a number of things written about this fight, and all of them keep saying whether or not this is an actual comeback for Daniel Jacobs or Daniel Jacobs coming back to grab some cash. What do you say to that?
Well, fortunately enough for me, I've done very well in the sport of boxing to where, I never have to work another day of my life. Financially, this is not a quick money grab. And quite honestly, it's not enough money for me to be a grab. For it to be a grab, this is simply for my legacy. And I also wanted to do it with someone who at this level could also be respected. And Shane has been active. He had a great performance with Gabe Rosado. He's young, up and coming, has a future for himself. And so this isn't anything that, people could hate on, in my opinion, from me being off so long. It's definitely not a money grab for sure. It's definitely more so me looking forward to the end goal. And sometimes you have to take certain fights of this caliber to get to the ultimate, but never looking over any of, where we at on the platform to where we want to be. Shane is going to be the same, from my mindset, preparation, whether mentally I have to see him as a threat in certain different calibers, but let's be quite frankly, I've been in the sport of boxing for more than half my life. I'm not sure he possessed anything I haven't seen yet. And at the end of the day, like I said, this is really just simply for me solidifying my legacy, but I'm also treating each fight as if it's my last, even though it won't be.
Mm-hmm. And you just heard Shane talk about his ultimate goal. When he gets a victory, he still wants to go back down to middleweight and become the undisputed champion there at 160. What about you? You talked about this is for your legacy. This is about becoming a Hall of Famer. What's the ultimate goal then for Daniel Jacobs in this return?
The ultimate goal is to become champion. 3
at 168?
168 for sure. Which will then place me at 2 division champion because I'm a 2-time middleweight champion. So I think becoming another a champion in another division would solidify that spot. There's not a number of amount of fights that I see for myself. We're giving ourselves a few years to be able to accomplish these things, but with the experience that we have, with the name that we have, with the team that I have, I think it'll be easy to put me back in that position, given the fact that I have a successful and impressive victory come July 6th.
Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, that means another matchup with Canelo Alvarez or David Benavidez or David Morrell. There's some hell of a great fighters like you guys at 168. Listen, I could ask you guys questions all night long. I know there's members of the media here. They've certainly got questions for you. Hit the raise your hand icon there on the Zoom. Andrew Roberts from Swanson Communications is going to join the Zoom here, and he will acknowledge those member media and let them ask their questions.
All right. Thanks very much, Brian. We're going to start off the media Q&A with James Bell from the Boxing Source. James, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
All right. I have a few questions here. First for Shane Mosley Jr. Just going off of, your past few fights, you've had a few in 2023 and was able to get a couple of stoppage victories. What have you seen in, those past couple of performances that has, made you be one of those rising contenders currently in the middleweight division, and then leading up to having this fight with Daniel Jacobs on July 6th?
Just getting better. Just trying to cultivate my craft and become better, become a legendary fighter, man. And you just keep on learning. You keep on loving the sport, keep on, having the hunger for growth and just keep on building, and hopefully it shows to everybody.
Gotcha. And my next question is for Sugar Shane Mosley. Going off of what Shane Mosley Jr. said, you've also mentioned that he's been the student of the game here. What have you seen in your son that has made him be a learner as far as like being able to develop and become the fighter that he is right now?
I think that it all stems from the mentality of him, his mind changing, of him really want to be in the sport of boxing, really want to be a champion, really want to go for it. I think once that's a big part of a lot of people are world champions, as you say, and great fighters. It's the mentality. It's not just the speed, power, whatever they possess. It's actually the mentality and how they approach the fight. And you can see that its mind is a lot different from, most of the other fighters. He has a different mindset, and he's ready to be the world champion. He's ready to be a great fighter. So that's what I see. That's the change.
Gotcha. And now my question here for Daniel Jacobs. Of course, it's, been a good little minute since you've been in the ring, and there's been talk about, hey, when you're coming back in the ring, and if you're facing this guy and facing that guy. But you also talk about, getting in the gym and training and that type of thing. At what point did you be there in the gym with, Coach Rozier and say, hey, you know what, man, I missed this. I'm ready to get back and do this, for real.
Well, I think I made that decision during my break on my own, with my family. And then once I came back to New York for pre-camp, that's when I had the conversation with my coach. And, we speak all the time. We talk on the phone. Him and my manager have a really good relationship. So everybody's in a full circle with communication. And I think it was sometime last year that we made the decision that we were going to come back. But honestly, we were trying to come back for a while now, and certain fights has fell through. Certain opponents had not accept certain fights. So we've had a few options, hence the reason why we've been training for so long. But when we got this opportunity, it was supposed to be for June, and it fell through, and then it came back to July. We just kind of knew that, at this stage, certain fights could be up and down, but just to kind of stay mentally, physically ready. And, finally something locked in where we got an opportunity to fight. And for me, it's just more so about just staying locked in because, sometimes the sport of boxing can be, up and down. But as a professional, I got to stay true to the game.
Got it. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you, James. Our next question is going to come from Ron Goodall with FightHype. Ron, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
All right. Appreciate it. This question goes to Danny Jacobs. I got a couple questions. The first question is, you mentioned that you want to be a super middleweight champion. Obviously, that would be a rematch with Canelo. So Canelo maybe might fight David Benavidez. So do you see yourself getting a Canelo rematch or facing David Benavidez, and why?
You know what? I haven't really gave that much thought because the dynamics of the super middleweight division is always changing. One time I hear Canelo is, drop the belts, and then there's another champion, Benavidez moving up. Then they might move back down. So right now it's really not about who's champion right now because that could all change within a few months. So for me, it's just about staying locked in on July 6th, cultivating my talents still, being able to stay sharp in certain departments. I understand why now they say this is a young man's sport, and we've gone through vigorous amount of training, and my body hasn't responded well. And that's why I'm grateful for the long camp because now we're finally to be prime at this point. And so it's just about learning, growing. But as far as the trajectory of the super middleweight division, who knows? I know one thing for sure. When my mind is locked in and God willing, we come off an impressive victory, July 6th, sky's the limit. I do know that.
Awesome. And my other question is, your name was brought in some social media back and forth between Caleb Plant and Edgar Berlanga. Was there some truth that later on, maybe, not looking past Shane, but if you get past Caleb Plant, is someone that's in your radar to get to that super middleweight championship?
I don't think anybody's off the table, and I think everybody's up for grabs. Everybody wants to submit a legacy. That's my ultimate goal. Not just to be in the Hall of Fame, but to fight the good fights. And so, unfortunately, sometimes promoters don't fare well with each other, what makes it hard for fighters to get inside the ring, or certain managements make it a lot harder for certain fighters to get inside the ring together. But my job is really just to continue to do what I've been doing inside the gym and show up on fight time, and then allow my team to continue to, strive for those big fights, push for those big fights, and allow me to, with all the experience, and like I said, I've accomplished so much, so I'm not sure it's going to take that long. We're not going to have to go through the ranks because I am someone of value. I just have to make sure that, my skills show up so that the people can say he's back.
Awesome. And then if I can get one to Shane Mosley, the father,
Okay.
Your son spoke on saying, hey, I could either go for the middleweight champion as Carlos Adames, which is one of the top guys in middleweight, or fight a two-time champion, Danny Jacobs, who's moving up into another division, top name in the sport. What fighter would you rather him fight and why?
I agree with my son, fighting the best out there. Well, what's considered to be the best out there. Like you said, who knows? I don't even know who Adames is. I'll have to look at some tapes to try to figure out what he can do or who is he. But I do know Dan Jacobs, and I've been knowing him for a long time. So I definitely think that's the best fight for him, even though because my son can fight 68 too as well, but he can fight at 160. So I think that this is a great matchup for him to get a victory against Dan Jacobs at 68, go back down and rule the middleweight division like Dan Jacobs did. And then maybe later on go back to 68 where he can fight these big fights. But I think that his idea of going to win the the middleweight division, conquer the middleweight division with all the middleweights, I think that's a great idea. And if he can do it, then do it. Then go to 68. So yeah, I agree 100%.
I appreciate you guys' time. Opportunities like this, man. You don't pass up opportunities like this. That's one thing. Like I said, man, who knows Carlos Adames? But when you say Danny Jacobs, they know who it is. They know who you're talking about. So that's what it is. You don't pass up opportunities like this.
So appreciate you guys. Wish you guys the best.
All right, thanks, Ron. Our next media question is going to come from Jay Coates with Hardcore Boxing News. Jay, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. First question will go to Shane Mosley Jr. My question to you is, a win against Danny Jacobs, as you being a son of a legend, do you feel though that this win would definitely solidify your name standing alone?
I'm already standing alone, man. I'm appreciative of my dad. I love him. I thank him for everything that I have. I thank him for my mindset. I thank him for the life that he's given me. I thank him for everything. He's responsible for a lot, and luckily he was in my life, and he was able to show me that a man could do great things when you put his mind to it, and all those great things. But I stand alone, baby. I did this by myself. I got into this game for me. I got into this because I love this sport and I love what I do, and I want to make a legacy and a life for this, for my own. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm appreciative of him being here. You know what I mean? But if he wasn't here, it wouldn't matter. I'm gonna fight Danny Jacobs no matter what. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be doing this no matter what, because this is the life that I chose, and this is what I wanted to do. So no matter what happens, I already stand alone. And this is the life that I chose.
I appreciate that. And I didn't mean it that particular way. I know how sometimes fans look at sons of champions, just in it because their father was in it. And I know that you're great, going to be great, and that you just came on 4 wins straight. You know what I mean? I was just saying, with fighting someone like Danny Jacobs definitely solidified you to move forward. So I appreciate you taking this a fight with Danny Jacobs.
Yep.
My next question will be for Danny Jacobs. Champ, you said that you feel though that you haven't did enough to be Hall of Fame. Any particular reason why you say that? Because I believe that you're definitely already Hall of Fame for sure. And just seeing how you came back off of bone cancer, man, and then became champion.
2 times.
Why do you feel though that you're not Hall of Fame yet, champ?
Just in my mind. I mean, I couldn't even tell you a specific reason. I just feel like there's more to accomplish, and I think 3 is my favorite number. So I always wanted to go out with 3-time world champion. That sounds a lot nicer than 2-time, even though I'm grateful for all that I've accomplished. And if I was to retire tomorrow, I'm sure that I'll still have left some form of legacy. But to secure a spot, to make sure that my name is amongst the great of my generation and the generations of boxing, I think it's just in my mind that there's a lot more to accomplish. And so that sparked something in me and allowed me to want to come back after, the layoff that I had. And I said, who's out there? We went straight to the best. We got a few options, but nobody wanted to fight. I'm grateful for Shane stepping up and wanting to take this fight. But I do also realize that a lot of people have questions about me and did the layoff, have an effect on me. And, that's kind of what I like. I like people to sleep on the idea that I'm not the same, or that there still won't be some type of pizzazz come fight night. So for me, it's just wait till July 6th and people will see the return of the Miracle Man.
All right, perfect. Thank you for those questions, Jay. We got time for just a couple more quick ones here. Next up, we're going to go to Carlo Perusa with Carlo Perusa MMA. Carlo, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Hey, first question for Danny. Danny, obviously you get to make your return to professional boxing here. You get to do it on a card that has tons of eyeballs on it. Obviously, Jorge and Nate Diaz headlining it. A lot of bad blood, a lot of people tuning in to watch it. Does that give you some added excitement to return?
Absolutely. And I think it's cool too the way the dynamics of the sport has been changing. You know, you got a lot of famous YouTubers, you got a lot of famous MMA guys. So many different walks of life are now coming into the sport of boxing, which can only bring more attention to the sport. And as a fan of boxing, I'm more advocate for anything that allows the sport to grow. So I'm grateful to be on the card simply because it's something different. It's a new feel for me. But I also know that I'm a great addition. You know, I'm probably the most accomplished boxer on the actual card, on the entire card. And so that gives me a lot of confidence going in, knowing that not only are there new eyes that's going to be viewing, or maybe people that have never heard of the Miracle Man, but that I get to add something of value to the sport of boxing against a very worthy opponent.
Great. Next question for Shane Jr. Shane, with the victory over Danny, do you think that starts to validate your legacy? What do you think it does to your overall name in the world of boxing?
I mean, the goal never changes, man. It doesn't change. You know what I mean? I go on and I go and do what I got to do, right? Like I said, my goal is to become middleweight undisputed champion. So I continue on. If that validates me for some people, whatever, it don't matter. Like, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing and what I set out to do. So I guess yes.
All right. Perfect. Thank you for those questions, Carlo. Our last media questions are going to come from Jim Conlon with RCB Radio Sport. Jim, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
My first question is for Danny Jacobs. Danny, walking out of that ring in England in 2022, were you saying to yourself, not like this, well, that I'm going to go out on a high? Every boxer wants to go finish their career on a high. And did that come into the thinking that Danny Jacobs goes out in his own terms?
That has a large fact as far as the bitterness that I had left in my mouth. But I was content with retiring if, you know, I didn't get to a point where I wanted to start fighting again. I would have been content with everything that I've accomplished. I think a lot of people, majority of, you know, fans, spectators, even people in England, you know, people in attendance in the fight, everyone knew that I won that fight. But I'm no stranger to controversial decisions. I just know the sport of boxing. Sometimes you got to play your cards, and sometimes you dealt certain cards, and sometimes it's out of your control. You know, sometimes you got to really knock a guy out to even get a draw. And so for me, it's just about really doing what I need to do to really submit my individual goals. My last fight was so controversial. It did leave a bad taste in my mouth. And, you know, I guess my job from here on out is to not, you know, allow things like that to happen. But then we were in another country, you know, we were a fan favorite guy out there. We already know how the sport goes. Nothing bitter when it comes to me. I just know that I have a goal that I had set out and that I'm trying to accomplish it. So I'm very focused at the moment.
And my final question is for Shane Mosley Sr. Shane, in terms of your son, you've been in so many world title fights, so against some of the biggest names, and we know your son has an impressive resume, but he probably doesn't have that big time world title fight against some of the biggest names in the business that Danny has. Is there any sort of learnings or teachings that you can instill on your son going into this fight facing Danny?
I think that, you know, it does take experience, and you know, I've been in the ring with my son a couple of times, and I can say that he's very, very strong and very fast, and a very hard opponent or customer to actually fight. So from experience, and me giving him that experience of a legendary Hall of Fame fighter, just being in the ring with him, that works. Like, that doesn't mean that we have to, you know, go all out or whatever. It just means that I'm giving him the experience. I'm giving him the experience of a real fighter and or a Hall of Fame fighter. And so I think that he's very well prepared for different tricks and different things that a Hall of Fame fighter would do.
All right. Thank you very much for those questions, Jim, and to all the media that joined us today. Thank you to all of our panelists for taking the time, Andre, Danny, and Shane Jr. and Sr. With that, I'll turn it back over to Brian Custer to wrap things up.
Thank you, Drew. You took the words right out of my mouth. Certainly thank all you guys for your time. I know you're in the midst of training, but we appreciate that, and I know members of the media do as well. So we'll wrap it up real quick here, and we'll end it with this. Shane, I'll start with you. For the many people who are going to get on Famio and .com/PPV and order this fight, for the thousands that are going to come out to that Honda Center in Anaheim, lay down their hard-earned money to watch you fight Daniel Jacobs, what can you guarantee they're going to get on July 6th when you step into the ring against Daniel Jacobs?
I can guarantee they're going to get a great night of fights. I guarantee it. They're gonna enjoy the money that they spent, and so that's what I can say.
Love it, Daniel Jacobs. Same question to you. A number of people have been looking forward to this return. They're going to buy this fight. They're going to pay their hard-earned money. Come out to that Honda Center. What can you guarantee they're going to get when you step into the ring against Shane Mosley Jr.?
Fireworks. Every time I show up, it's a show out. And so I'm looking forward to, I don't want to call him a young whippersnapper because he's a man in his own right, but I'm looking forward to the young man being able to give me, a good test. I'm looking forward to obviously being victorious, but I want to be able to fight someone worthy, and I think he has that. And so July 6th, don't miss it, the return of the Miracle Man.
And it all comes your way, July 6th from the Honda Center there in Anaheim. It is a 10-round fight. It is a super middleweight bout between these two elite fighters. It is the co-main of what you will see between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. And again, you can order it. Make sure you let people know. Famio.com/PPV. You can also get it through the UFC Fight Pass pay-per-view as well, and get your tickets through Ticketmaster. The return of the Miracle Man, Daniel Jacobs, taking on Shane Mosley Jr. It is July 6th. Folks, don't miss it. I'm Brian Custer. Thanks for watching.